All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have a report out here that I find to be very interesting. I came across this and I wanted to share it with you, and it has to do with a supposed unannounced Warhammer RPG that was just recently canceled by Games Workshop. Now, obviously, you guys are aware that I just made a video recently talking about the success that Games Workshop has had because of Space Marine 2 and how much money Space Marine 2 actually made the company. It almost tripled their revenue just from the one game alone and the licensing that they got from that video game. Now that all that has been said, apparently they are still canceling this Warhammer RPG that they had in the works, and that actually kind of sucks because I would have loved to seen a good Warhammer RPG. Now, this report comes to us from MP First, and again, it's from the journalist called Ephraim. It says, report, unannounced Warhammer RPG canceled by Games Workshop. Despite positive developments, a planned Warhammer franchise game was canceled due to funding issues. The canceled game was developed by Thought Pennies, a studio that faced layoffs and a strategic direction change from its publisher. It was planned to be a co-op PvE action RPG made in the Unreal 5 engine. So let's get into this article, guys. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says last year was significant for the Warhammer franchise, highlighted by the much anticipated launch of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, which became the most played game in the series and one of the year's top sellers on Steam, which, I mean, we've talked about so many times. For all the people out there who say, oh, you don't make positive content, I literally did. I mean, I've talked about multitude of different video games that we all enjoyed, that we all praised. You know, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was one of them. Space Marine 2 was one of them. Black Myth Wukong was one of them. We talked about so many video games, and Space Marine 2 was one of my favorites of last year by far. It says, additionally, an episode that follows up the event of Space Marine 2 was released for Amazon's anthology series Secret Level, which I still haven't watched, by the way. I want to check it out. I know people said that it's pretty good. I have to check it out. And it's been confirmed that a series set in the Warhammer 40k universe starring Henry Cavill is in development, which now that I know that Henry Cavill has gotten the green light, that means that most likely he's gotten what he's wanted for the most part out of this, and I have a feeling that it's going to be respectful to the source material, so hopefully it comes out to be a very good show. But given all this, it's unsurprising that more Warhammer games are on the horizon. However, not everything is all sunshine and daisies, as recent discoveries indicate that a planned franchise game has been canceled in recent months. If you look here, the canceled game in question was being developed by Thought Pennies, a studio founded in 2020 by Tim Ernst, who previously worked on franchises like Star Wars and Final Fantasy. This studio, described on its website as an RPG games developer, was affected by rounds of layoffs in both 2023 and late 2024. The latter round was particularly devastating as it followed a change of strategic direction by an unnamed publisher, leaving the studio's current project without funding. The project was described as a multi-platform social role-playing game, although was never officially revealed. Resumes from a few employees claimed that it was set in the Warhammer universe and ultimately canceled due to lack of funding. The game was being developed in Unreal Engine 5 and had been in development since at least 2022, although it's unclear if it started earlier. So again, boys, I think this sucks, right? Because I know that I'm a big fan of the Warhammer games. Again, I'm not a big fan of the tabletop stuff, never really touched the tabletop stuff, and I've said this many times in all my videos, but I've played a lot of Warhammer games. I love the Warhammer games. I remember the original Warhammer MMORPG. I fucking mained the Bright Wizard and absolutely destroyed things with a healer, and it was considered extremely OP at the time, but that's besides the point. Warhammer video games I've been playing for a very long time. I love them dearly, and anytime we could get another one is obviously always a good thing, as long as they do the franchise right. But unfortunately, it seems like we didn't get that here for whatever the reason may be in terms of funding and whatnot. I don't see how a Warhammer game, now that I'm thinking about it, I struggle to see how a Warhammer game could not get funding, considering how successful Warhammer games have been, especially with Space Marine 2 recently blowing everything out the water that's ever came before Warhammer. It's very clear that the Warhammer franchise is prime to do pretty well overall in the gaming space, so to be able to not get funded for a Warhammer game seems very odd to me. One particular resume describes the game as a third-person co-op PvE action-adventure RPG with a cast of unique heroes and playstyles, featuring a mix of melee and ranged combat, and monstrous enemies set in a dark fantasy world. Although it doesn't mention Warhammer, it's evident that it refers to this franchise if we connect the dark fantasy description with the previous mentions. Other details mentioned are more technical, like the inclusion of enhanced combat, feels with hit and pause camera, and shake and immersive wall squeeze through animations. This would mean that Games Workshop eventually decided to withdraw funding for the project, leading to another round of layoffs and a subsequent cancellation of the title. This is especially unfortunate considering the words of Daniel Erickson and Studio CCO in his LinkedIn post, where he stated that the game's development was progressing well and that they had great feedback. Sadly, it seems we won't get to see the fruits of the studio's years of work. Fortunately for Warhammer fans, several other games in the franchise are currently in development. These include a sequel to the 2018 game Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, an ambitious MMORPG developed by Jackalyptic Games and published by NetEase. So again, guys, it seems like there was a lot going on here. Games Workshop pulling out of this video game, I don't understand why they would do that, because again, they have seen a lot of success, especially with Space Marine 2. You would think they would want to go all in with an RPG in the Warhammer universe, but perhaps it was not exactly the way that they wanted it to go, or maybe they just want to fully double down on Warhammer 40k. I'm not really sure, but it does suck, man. I really wish that we could get some more Warhammer video games, Warhammer RPGs. I think it'll be great. If you look at the experience resume here, it says experience lead lighting artist, unannounced Unreal 5 Warhammer title. This person says principal engineer, unannounced Warhammer game, implemented Topo Taylor runtime landscape deformation plugin for Unreal Engine 5, procedural world composition, post-process lighting shaders, and optimization. This person says senior technical artist, development for beginning on a canceled fantasy live service RPG in Unreal Engine 5. Designed and implemented art pipelines and tools for both in-house and outsourced artists, created shaders in Unreal for nearly all materials in use in project, from environment to character materials. So it was very clear that they were in fact working on a Warhammer RPG of some kind. And it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to get our hands on that. But at the end of the day, man, Games Workshop, while they may have their ideologies for sure, and they are most definitely going down the DEI rabbit hole, when it comes to their video games, the video games are pretty top tier for the most part. I enjoy them, and as long as they continue to be respected and they don't pull any of the modern day woke shit in it, I think a lot of people out there will respect it as well. I mean, look, a lot of people disagree with Games Workshop, but they still bought Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 because the game gave you everything you wanted as a gamer. The game respected your time, it gave you all the excitement and action you could possibly want, and gave you everything that wasn't woke whatsoever. The game absolutely respected you in every way possible. So there is a way to distinguish between the two, and we unfortunately are not going to be able to see that with a Warhammer RPG, but who knows? Maybe they're going with another publisher or a developer. We don't really know, but as of right now, all we know that they canceled this project, and it's never going to see the light of day. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you get to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.